Good evening on this Friday. I'm Maggie Vespa. Our top story, the ongoing supply chain shortage collides with the holiday shopping season, and that brutal combination is leaving many wondering whether the items they actually want this season will even be in stock. KGW's Alma McCarty spoke with a supply chain expert about what you need to know. Alma?
Well, our expert had two key takeaways tonight. With inflation up across the board, things will be more expensive. And when it comes to availability, he says be flexible.
Holiday shopping season is underway, and already shoppers are out with a game plan.
My dad was sitting in line here for 11 hours.
The global supply chain backlog on display and top of mind for the first time in a long time.
Is there a time prior to COVID that you remember there being as big of supply chain issues that are comparable to what we're seeing right now?
Not in our lifetime.
Dr. Carlos Mina is a supply chain management professor with Portland State University.
I think the last time we saw big disruptions of this scale was the Second World War.
He says pre-pandemic, it was a process many hardly considered. Supply chain efficiency has been getting better and better over the last 20 to 30 years.
We didn't see them. I did because that's what I do for a living. But for most people, you just see the product arriving and you don't realize all of the stages that go behind it so it gets there on time. Now we all know.
And while the pandemic continues to be the root of the problem, Mina notes the issues impacting holiday shopping are complex.
Particularly for complex products when you only need one part missing so that you cannot assemble it. So if there's one supplier of a particular chip or a particular paint or a particular plastic that you cannot find, you cannot assemble your final product.
On top of that, disruptions to logistics at ports and on the roads add even more of a burden. When it comes to certain items, from electronics to home improvement tools to appliances, experts say don't expect deep discounts.
Anything that has microchips in them, which ranges from very simple products to computers, cell phones.
Mina explains big companies have been actively working to combat issues by ordering earlier and taking more control over logistics, getting their own ships, trucks, and drivers, essentially guaranteeing enough product on the shelves. However, not every business can get around these problems.
Some of the smaller companies, I think, are going to struggle more because the capacity issues are still there, and I think they're going to be there for a while. And those are the ones who get squeezed out, both on prices and on availability.
As a rule of thumb, the earlier you shop, the better. Despite the issues, experts expect this holiday shopping season to be a record-breaking one, with sales nationwide up nearly 10%.
All right, Alma McCarty live for us. Alma, thank you so much. And Black Friday, of course, is officially over, paving the way for Small Business Saturday, a whole day set aside for shopping local. And Portlanders know Northwest 23rd Avenue is home to several local small businesses, including several distillers. And places like Bull Run and Aria Gin reported a drop in sales during the pandemic due to closures and restrictions. So tomorrow, they're hoping for a big boost.
Your local distillery can do and offer for you is doing something unique and different that you wouldn't necessarily find, say, at a liquor store or from the larger distillery.
To think about where you're investing your dollars. If you can shop local, you're going to be keeping the money here and making a big difference.
So tomorrow, shoppers can also take advantage of Portland's Small Shops Big Hearts campaign. Search for that online and you'll find a list of local businesses where you can get discounts. All right, turning to the pandemic and that new COVID variant named Omicron now. Researchers first detected this strain earlier this month in South Africa, and it's spreading rapidly. So rapidly that the U.S. and many European countries are already issuing travel bans. So tonight, Erica Zuko has 5 things you need to know about this new variant.
A stock market slide, new travel restrictions, big reactions to a newly reported variant. So what do we really know about Omicron? We tried to find answers to 5 common questions. Here's what we found and what we don't yet know. First, do current vaccines work?
We don't know for sure whether or not this particular virus will be resistant to our vaccines. We still have to do some experiments in the lab to confirm that. And that's very easily done. We just get the sequences for the virus, and then we can test in the lab whether or not antibody responses induced by our vaccines are going to be able to neutralize it.
So what if we do need a new vaccine? Several vaccine makers say they're studying the variant and could adjust their formulas if needed. Moderna, for its part, says it plans to advance an Omicron-specific booster candidate. 3. Why is the World Health Organization calling it a, quote, variant of concern?
This variant has a large number of mutations, and some of these mutations have some worrying characteristics.
So how will we know if the variant is in Washington?
The first thing that has to be done is to develop a diagnostic test to accurately be able to detect this.
It's unclear exactly how long that will take. Finally, is it more contagious? More dangerous? The WHO says we'll have to wait and see what studies show.
There's a lot of work that is ongoing in South Africa and in other countries to better characterize the variant itself in terms of transmissibility, in terms of severity.
Some of the work to get those answers will be done here in Washington by researchers and labs at UW's School of Medicine.
That was Erica Zucco reporting. And by the way, in light of this new variant, you probably saw President Biden announced today the U.S. will temporarily ban travelers from South Africa and from 7 other countries. The president joining a growing list of world leaders in implementing those restrictions. Others include Israel, Italy, Britain, and Canada. The ban goes into effect Monday. It does not apply to American citizens traveling abroad. They will be allowed to return home if they test negative for the virus and quarantine after their arrival. Closer to home, a spike in overdoses and ER visits has local leaders sounding the alarm about fentanyl. Officials say they're tracking a possible cluster of overdoses in Clark County after ER visits spiked last week. They didn't say how many people overdosed specifically, but they believe this is tied to an influx of illicit drugs like heroin and meth that are laced with fentanyl. Fentanyl is a synthetic opioid that is 50 times stronger than heroin. It's often cut into other drugs without the user knowing. Earlier this month, our team on the story dug into Portland's meth crisis, and we talked to 3 men in recovery from meth, and they talked then about the dangers of fentanyl.
Just the other day, a friend of mine said 2 of his friends that he was in treatment with, in fact, Nick, died shooting the meth with fentanyl in it. They overdosed and died. See, you really don't, it's hard, excuse me, it's hard to overdose on meth. The fentanyl acting in the meth, it's not hard to overdose. It's just not.
So in Clark County, deaths tied to fentanyl overdoses spiked 200% between 2019 and 2020. Officials said anyone using powdered drugs or pills not given to them by a pharmacist should assume it contains the deadly drug.